My parents used my inheritance to save my brother's business. 5 years later, they asked me for help. I'm 29 years old now, and 5 years ago, I learned exactly where I stood in my family. Growing up, my younger brother was always the favorite. Everyone knew it, even if nobody said it out loud. If he got a C on a test, my parents praised his effort. If I got an A, they asked why it wasn't an A+. If he made a mistake, it was because life was hard. If I made one, it was because I wasn't trying hard enough. I spent years convincing myself I was imagining things. Then my grandmother died, and all the excuses disappeared. My grandmother and I had always been close. She was the only person in the family who treated me and my brother equally. A few months before she passed away, she told me she had left me something in her will. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a few keepsakes or some jewelry. Instead, I inherited $85,000. For someone in their 20s working an average office job, that money felt life-changing. I planned to use it as a down payment for a house. For the first time in my life, I felt like I might actually get ahead. My parents seemed happy for me. At least that's what I thought. Around the same time, my brother started a restaurant with 2 friends. The business struggled almost immediately. Bad location, too much debt, poor management. Within a year, they were on the verge of bankruptcy. One evening, my parents invited me over for dinner. The moment I sat down, I knew something was wrong. My mother wouldn't look me in the eye. My father kept clearing his throat. Finally, my dad spoke. "Your brother needs help." I already knew where this was going. "How much?" I asked. "About 80,000, I nearly laughed. "That's almost exactly what I inherited," my father nodded. "Family helps family." I stared at him. "No," the room went silent. My mother looked offended. "How can you be so selfish?" Selfish. The word hit me like a slap. I worked overtime for years. I lived in tiny apartments. I drove a car that sounded like it was dying every time I started it. Meanwhile, my brother spent money like it grew on trees, and somehow I was selfish. "I am not giving him my inheritance." My brother leaned forward. "You don't even need it right now," I laughed. "You mean like you need it because you made terrible business decisions?" That ended dinner. I went home feeling angry but relieved. I thought the issue was settled. I was wrong. A week later, I logged into my bank account. The balance was almost gone. At first, I thought there had been some mistake. Then I saw the transfer, $80,000, gone. I nearly had a heart attack. After several frantic phone calls, I learned what happened. Years earlier, when I first opened the account, my mother had been listed as a joint account holder. I had completely forgotten. Apparently, she hadn't. She transferred the money and gave it to my brother. Legally, she was allowed to. I felt sick. I drove straight to my parents' house. When they opened the door, they weren't even ashamed. My mother actually smiled. "We knew you'd understand eventually." I was speechless. My father said, "It's still staying in the family." I remember looking at all 3 of them and realizing something. They genuinely believed they had done nothing wrong. That was the worst part. Not the money, not the betrayal, the complete lack of guilt. I walked out. And for the next 5 years, I barely spoke to them. I closed every shared account, changed banks, changed phone numbers, moved to another city. Started over. It wasn't easy. Losing $80,000 hurt. But losing the illusion that my family cared about me hurt far more. Over time, I rebuilt my life. I worked hard, got promotions, started investing. Eventually bought a house entirely on my own. Ironically, the thing the inheritance was supposed to help me do. Meanwhile, my brother's restaurant failed anyway. The business closed less than 8 months after receiving the money. The entire inheritance vanished, exactly as I had predicted. 5 years passed. Then one day I received a call from my mother. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. She sounded unusually polite. After a few minutes of awkward small talk, she finally got to the real reason she called. My father had retired. They had accumulated significant debt, medical bills, credit cards, loans. Apparently things were bad, very bad. Then came the question, "Could you help us financially?" I actually laughed, not because it was funny, because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 5 years of silence, 5 years without an apology, and now they wanted money. My mother immediately became defensive. "We wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious." I took a deep breath. Then I asked a simple question. "Did you ever pay me back?" Silence. "No." "Did you ever apologize?" More silence. "No." "Then why exactly would I help you?" My mother started crying. My father took the phone. His voice was cold. "We made mistakes, but we're still your parents." That sentence changed everything, because they still didn't understand. The problem wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. A mistake is saying the wrong thing during an argument. They deliberately stole my inheritance. then spent 5 years pretending they were the victims. I told my father exactly that, then I hung up. Over the next month they called repeatedly, so did my brother. Apparently my refusal had caused major problems. The bank was threatening legal action. Their debt kept growing. My brother insisted I was being cruel. Then he said something that still makes me laugh. Family should support each other. The same line they used when they took my money. I replied with one sentence. Ask the person who got my $80,000. Then I hung up. That was 6 months ago. Since then, the calls have mostly stopped. A few relatives tried guilt-tripping me, but once I explained what happened, most of them quickly changed sides. Some were shocked. Others admitted they weren't surprised at all. As for me, I'm sitting in the house I bought without their help. The house my inheritance was originally meant to help me buy. Sometimes I think about what my grandmother would say if she knew what happened. I think she'd be disappointed. Not in me. In them. Because she left that money to improve my future. Instead, they sacrificed it trying to save someone who refused to save himself. And in the end, they lost both the money and the relationship. The inheritance is gone forever. But the lesson it taught me was worth far more than $85,000. Sometimes the most expensive thing you can lose is the illusion that certain people love you unconditionally. And once that illusion is gone, you finally stop paying for it.